Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvannuti Sadanam Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Dear friends, we were reading the 66th shloka, probably the most important shloka in the 18th chapter of Gita. That is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Mashuchaha. So we have seen the overall context. Lord Krishna is summarizing his teaching. He has told him about say karma sannyasa, that is chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha. So he has been telling about different levels of sharanagati, and then at the end he says sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. I was just explaining the shloka, and before that I was also quoting one shloka which is quoted by Madhusudana Saraswati about what is Sharanagati. Sharanagati, I was telling it is of three types. What Madhusudana Saraswati says, that is Tasyaivaham stage, that is I belong to him, I totally follow him, I follow his instructions. So that is the first level. Then after being a great devotee, then you also develop an attachment and some little bit of authority you start exercising. So then you start saying Mamaiva Asau, Mamaiva Asau, Asau, this gentleman, this particular god, Mamaiva, he belongs to me, he is my man, he can't go anywhere. So that is the level. Then Sayeva Ahamiti Tridha, Sayeva Aham, there is no difference between me and him. That is a level of realization. The other two levels are in the duality mode. Tasyaivaham and Mamaivasau, they are in the duality mode, and from that duality mode you graduate to the non-duality mode and then say Sayevaham. Sayevahamiti Tridha Bhagavat Sharanatvam Syat Sadhanabhyasa Pakataha. So this is what Madhusudana Saraswati writes in his commentary. Sadhana Abhyasa Pakataha. Paka means maturity. By gradual maturity of your sadhana. Sadhana means your spiritual exercise, your practice, your Atma Sanyama which you are practicing. All that thing, sadhana, not only Atma Sanyama, associated with Atma Sanyama is this Jnana also. Jnana Anusandhanam, Brahma Atma Anusandhanam also is there. Mere Karma Yoga is not enough, mere Atma Sanyama is not enough, mere Bhakti is not enough. To that you have to add this Anusandhanam, Atma Anusandhanam has to be there. Shravana Manana Nididhyasana has to go on. So with that, you graduate to the higher level where you say Sayevaham iti Tridha. So that level you reach. So we are talking about that level in this particular shloka because Shankaracharya is going to say that Sarva Dharman Parityajya, it is referring to Sarva Karma Sannyasa. So that is what he says. So Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Dharma not only refers to Dharma, it also refers to Adharma. Because it is as good as Dharma is as good as Adharma. Because Dharma also produces rebirth, causes another life. By virtue of Dharma, you will get a lot of punya. With that punya, you will go to some heaven, dance with some damsels, and then come back, and then you will take another birth. So that is not realization, isn't it? So Asuryanama Telokaha, if you recall that Ishavasya Upanishad, what do they say? What does it say? Asuryanama Telokaha Andhena Tamasa Vrutaha. So Asurya Lokaha, that is Shankaracharya there he comments, in say comparison with this Brahma Jnana, even Swarga is Asura Loka, because Swarga is something which is again, it is a temporary phase, from there you go down, and then again you will have to take birth. So that is the reason why even Swarga is something which is called Asura Loka. So Asurya Namate Loka. So it is like that. Sarva Dharman means you have to give up even a Dharma and Adharma, everything. Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Mam Ekam. Realize that you are that Parabrahma. Mam Ekam. That is the one Parabrahma. Sayeva Hamiti Sharanam Vraja. That is in that level, that I am nothing different from that. In that level, you attain that Sharanagati. Then aham tva sarva papebhyah. Tva means tvam. You, I deliver you from various papas. Papas means papa and also punya.
Yes.
Just as dharma is dharma includes adharma, papa also refers to punya, which means that you will totally, with this realization, you will totally come out of this bondage of samsara, because that baggage of punya and apunya, they get dropped. So with that, you will get out of this wheel of samsara. Papebhyah mokshayishyami. Mokshayishyami means I will release you. Muncha dhatu. Mokshayishyami, I will release you. Ma shuchaha, do not grieve. Ma shuchaha, do not grieve. Don't shokam. Shokam ma kashihi. So in the beginning, the teaching also started with shoka only, the reference to shoka. That is, ashocyan anvachochastvam prajnavadansya bhashase. You are grieving about those who don't deserve to be grieved, etc., etc. Shoka, there was a reference to shoka. The message also is ending with the shoka, which means Lord Krishna is keeping that in mind. Arjuna's shoka has to disappear. Arjuna's shoka means it is our shoka only. Our shoka, our grief, our anxieties regarding our activity in the world. So all that thing, Krishna has to give a solution. So that is what he has done. So let us see the Bhashyam. Sarvadharman sarvecha te dharmascha sarvadharmaha tan.
Sarvadharman sarvecha te dharmascha sarvadharmanstan.
Dharmaha tan. Okay.
Dharmaha tan.
Okay, so he is explaining the word sarvadharmaha. Sarvadharmaha means sarvecha te dharmascha. All types of dharmas, including adharmaha. Sarvadharmaha tan, those dharmas. Dharma shabdena atra.
Dharma shabdena atra.
Adharmopi gruhyate.
Adharmopi gruhyate.
Naishkarmyasya vivakshitatvat.
Naishkarmyasya vivakshitatvat.
Navirato duscharitat.
Navirato duscharitat.
Iti. Tyaja dharmam adharmancha iti. Dharmam adharmancha ityadi shruti smritibhyah.
Tyaja dharmam adharmancha ityadi shruti smritibhyah.
Okay. So, dharma shabdena, by the word dharma, adharmopi atra gruhyate. You have to include adharma also, because adharma also produces another life, dharma also produces another life. Dharma is as good as adharma in the context of a seeker, not in the context of you and me. In the context of you and me, we have to jolly well follow dharma. So, we can't say dharma is as good as adharma. At our level, we have to jolly well follow dharma only. Whereas at the level of a jnani, at the level of a totally realized person, there he is above dharma and adharma. So he gives up all those activities. So, the adharmopi gruhyate, naishkarmyasya vivakshitatvat means naishkarmya is the thing which is being dealt with here, which is being told here. Vivaksha, vaktumicha vivaksha. That is the intention to say. What is the intended meaning here? That is naishkarmyam, that is actionless state. When does that arise? Only when you are a jnani. Only when you are a jnani that actionless state arises. A jnani might have totally given up karmas, or a jnani might be doing some karmas, as in the case of King Janaka. That is called naishkarmya. In both cases it is naishkarmyam, because the fruit of that action is not touching him. One man has totally given up. Another man may be doing some prarabdha karma, but then that prarabdha karma is something like an arrow which has been released from the bow, and then it is going to fall somewhere, and then that is where it ends. So there is no further activity on his part. So it is like that. Then he quotes the line from Navirato duscharitat Kathopanishad, Navirato duscharitat Nashanto nasamahitah, etc., etc. We recall that line from Kathopanishad. Na avirataha duscharitat. Duscharitat means from bad conduct. Avirataha means one who has not given up. One who has not given up that bad conduct. Na avirataha duscharitat. The one who has not given up bad conduct will not get that. Na is connecting to something else. He will not attain that moksha. Na shanto na samahitaha prajnanena enamapnuyat. So and so, a fellow who has not withdrawn from this bad activity, he will not attain that jnanam. So that is what is the reference there. Duscharitat. So the first thing, the basic point here is, one has to give up all this karma. Na virato duscharita. Then, tyaja dharma madharmancha. This is again line from Shanti Parva, which we have come across in the earlier, in the same Bhashya. We have seen Tyaja Dharma Adharmancha, Ubhe Satyan Rute Tyaja, Ubhe, there is something, Ubhe Satyan Rute Tyaktva, Yena Tyajasi Tatyaja. So that was the line. So Dharma and Adharma has to be both discarded. That means you have to grow above this Dharma and Adharma. Ityadi Shruti Smrutibhyah. Shruti also says, and also Smruti also. Then, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Sanyasya Sarva Karmani Ityetat Mam Ekam Sarvatmanam Samam Sarvabhutastham Ishwaram Achyutam
Samam sarvabhuta sthitam ishwaram achyutam
Garbha Janma Marana Vivarjitam
Garbha Janma Jara Marana Vivarjitam.
Okay. Ahameva Ityevam Ekam Sharanam Vraja.
Ahameva Ityevam Ekam Sharanam Vraja.
Okay. So here, how Sharanam Vraja, what does it mean? Sharanam Vraja means I am that, I am not different from that. So that is what he is saying. Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Parityajya means the meaning of our Parityajya is Sanyasya, having renounced. Then Sarva Karmani Ityetat, that is all activities, having renounced all activities. Then Mam Ekam Sarvatmanam, that is the one, that Atma, that is consciousness which is illumining everything. Samam Sarvabhutastham Ishwaram, that which is there, Sama, which is equally in everything, Sarvabhutastham, which is there, dwelling in everything. Ishwaram, Achyutam. Ishvara and Achyuta, again you see the words, use of the words. Whenever Ishvara comes, Shankaracharya uses the word either Achyuta or Narayana or Vishnu. So Achyutam. Achyuta, in the etymological sense, means that which does not fall. Achyuti means something which falls, something which declines. Achyuta is something which does not decline, that infinity, Ananta. Achyutam. Then what is that Achyuta? Garbha, Janma, Mara, your book also says Jara. Jara, Marana, Vivarjitam. That is, there is no question of that Achyuta, something which is a consciousness, of the nature of pure consciousness. There is no question of that coming into a Garbha, that is coming into a womb. There is no question of it being born. There is no question of it getting old. There is no question of it that disappearing or dying. Marana Vivarjitam. Then Ahameva Ityevam Ekam Sharanam Raja. I am that undecaying Achyuta. So in that sense, Sharanam Raja, you attain that Sharana, you come to that level. So that is what he says. Then Na mattaha anyadasti ityavadharaya ityarthaha.
Na mattaha anyadasti ityavadharaya ityarthaha.
That is, you have to stay in the determination, in the firm determination or realization, not foolishly determination, but realization. You have to stay in that firm realization that apart from me there is nothing else. Na mattaha anyadasti. Nothing else exists apart from me, apart from the knower, apart from the consciousness. Apart from knower means druk, what we call druk and drushya. What all we see is drushya. Apart from druk, there is nothing other than that druk. Iti avadharaya, you realize, you stay firm in that realization. Aham tva tvam evam nishchita buddhim sarva papebhyah sarva dharma dharma bandhana rupebhyah mokshayishyami swatma bhava prakashikaranena. Okay. Then aham tvam, I am going to deliver you, that is tvam, that dvitiya bhakti, tvam, evam nishchita buddhim. While you are having this firm determination, nishchita buddhi, your buddhi is so nishchita, that nishchita means determined. Buddhi, when you have that frame of mind, sarva papebhyah, sarva dharma bandhana rupebhyah, from all types of sins, here he says sin, papebhyah, sinful activities. What are that? Dharma, adharma. So dharma also is a sinful activity and adharma also is a bad activity, undesirable. We should not take it as a sin, we should take it as an undesirable activity. Mokshayishyami, I am going to deliver. In what manner? By revealing myself. By revealing myself means not something appearing before you. By say Atma Bhava Prakashikaranena, by making you realize me, by making you realize me. So that is God's grace also is required in realization. So in fact that is what we have seen in Kathopanishad also. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha. If you recall, the one who intently follows that, the one who intently selects that and follows that only, he will realize. So that is what we have seen there. So it is something like that. Swatma bhava prakashikaranena aham mokshayishyami. Not that he is going to deliver you, keep you, take you from this place and keep you in some other place. He will make you realize that you are nothing different from that. So Atma Bhava Prakashikaranena, by illumining, by making yourself realize, by making you realize that you are not different from me. So that is Atma Bhava Prakashikaranam. Then Uktam cha Nashayam Yatma Bhavastha Jnanadipena Bhasvata Iti. So this is what we have seen in our earlier shloka. That is the 10th Adhyaya. Tesham eva anukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayam yatma bhavastho jnanadipena bhasvata. So that is what we read there. What does it mean? It is already Uktam cha. It has been said earlier. What is that? For one who follows me, bhajatam priti purvakam, one who loves me and then one who follows me, one who does bhakti towards me, gradually I will take him on towards jnana. Gradually I will illumine, I will kindle that light, that light called knowledge in him. Jnana deepena, I will kindle that light, I will kindle that light called knowledge in him. So that is what was told. Nashayami Atma Bhavasthaha. Atma Bhavasthaha means by dwelling in his antahkarana, by dwelling in his buddhi. Atma Bhavasthaha. There Shankaracharya, the meaning given was antahkarana sthitaha. That is by dwelling in his antahkarana. By dwelling in his antahkarana. That is, I put that seed of knowledge in his mind, or I light that lamp of knowledge in his mind. So that is what it is. Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. Bhasvata means shining. By that shining Jnana Deepa, I remove his Ajnanajam Tamaha. All the Ajnana, that tamas, all ignorance, I dispel. So that is what it means. That is what he had said earlier. Then Ataha Ma Shuchaha Shokam Makarshihi Ityarthaha.
Ma Shuchaha Shokam Makarshihi Ityarthaha.
So therefore, do not grieve. Therefore, do not grieve. For all the bhaktas, I will take them on to that level. So that is what we have seen in that 12th Adhyaya also. So a jnani, he comes on his own, and a bhakta, I take him. I will, like that Marjala Kishora Nyaya, I told about Marjala Kishora Nyaya. Like a cat holds the kitten and then carries from place to place, I carry that devotee to some higher levels. So that is what he told earlier. So it's like that. Then now there is a discussion. There is a fairly long discussion. We may take about 5 or 6 classes. I am not sure. Let us see. This whole discussion is about Jnana Karma Samuchayavada Khandana. What we have seen in the very beginning of this Adhyaya. In a slightly different way, almost the same arguments in a slightly different words, different examples, etc. It is being discussed here, because we have to realize that Shankaracharya is very particular about condemning this Jnana Karma Samuchayavada, because it seems in those days probably their main problem in the society was on one side the total Shunyavada of Buddhists who had totally rejected all these things, and then who said there is Shanika Vijnana, etc., etc. And even among Buddhists there were 4 categories. Nobody knew what exactly Buddha taught, because Buddha, then what is this Sautrantika, Vaibhashika, then Vijnanavada, all these, there is another Vada. There are four types of followers of Buddha were there. So each man had a slightly different opinion about what is Jnanam. So, but Vijnanavada was one thing which was mainly discussed in Shankara Bhashya. Then Vijnanavada was on one side, that is totally rejecting the Vedas. Then on the other hand, this was such an adherence, such a say sort of fixation and an adherence to the Vedic rituals. We can say fixation. Fixation is a word from psychology. So this is a sort of fixation to this Vedic rituals. This is on the part of these Mimamsakas who said no, karmas cannot be given up. So these two extremes he had to somehow say dispel and then bring about something which is useful. At one say his on one hand he has to establish that it is not nihilism, it is not shunya, but this Atma or Brahman that exists. On the other hand, he has also to say break this hardcore say karmathas. Hardcore karmathas means hardcore Mimamsakas. So this was a very tough say balancing act by Shankaracharya. So that is why we repeatedly say see the discussion about this Jnana Karma Samuchayavada Khandana. So what these people say, what do these people say? They say, okay, you follow your path of knowledge, you also do this karma. The basic point is you cannot do karma. Why? Because karma is done with that kriya karaka phala bheda buddhi. So I am doing this particular karma. By doing this karma, I do get this result. And with this result, okay, I am going to some punya loka or something like that. But jnana is something which is meant to shake off all these things. You are supposed to shake off all these things and then you are on a totally different level. You are on a totally different level means you are identifying yourself with that Brahman. That is that sarvata samplutodaka sthaniyam. That is where you are in the midst of say huge waters, and then you don't need some small puddle of water or some small say small borewell or something like that there. You don't require. You are in the midst of a vast mass of water, sarvata samplutodaka sthaniya, and you will not be bothered about some small water tap or something like that. So that is the example. So you go beyond the Vedas. You recall that shloka? Yavanartha udapane sarvatas samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. For the one who has realized Vedas are only of very, very little use, just as a small say water tap is useful in a place where a place full of water is there. Of course, we have to presume that the whole water is potable. So anyway, the example we have to take only to that level. So like that, karma cannot go hand in hand with this jnana. It is like traveling in two boats going in the opposite direction. Jnana is going in one direction, karma is going in another direction. You can't put one leg here and one leg there. You will be torn apart. So that is the problem. So that is what there is the discussion ultimately which we are going to see here. So let us read the Bhashyam. Asmin hi Gita Shastre Param Nishreyasa Sadhanam Nishchitam Kim Jnanam Kim Karma va Ahosvid Ubhayamiti.
Kim jnanam kim karma va
Ahosvit
ubhayamiti.
Okay. So there are so in this Gita Shastra, Asmin hi Gita Shastra means in this particular Gita Shastra, Nishreyasa Sadhanam Nishchitam Kim. What is the Nishreyasa Sadhanam which has been ultimately decided? What is it that is coming? What is the final opinion? What is the conclusion of Lord Krishna about what is the sole cause for moksha? What is the main cause for? What is the sole cause for moksha? Param Nishreyasa, supreme cause, supreme say sadhanam, supreme means for this realization. Is it jnanam or is it karma? Ahosvit means or else. Ahosvit ubhayam means a samuchaya. Jnana karma samuchaya iti. Then kutah sandeha.
Kutah samshayaha.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Yad jnatva amrutamashnute tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram ityadini vakyani kevalad jnanat nishreyasa praptim darshayanti karmanyeva kuru karma eva ityeva madini ityeva madini karmanam avashya kartavyatam darshayanti avashya kartavyatam. What does your book say? Avashyakatam. It doesn't matter. Both are one and the same. Avashya kartavyatam darshayanti. Evam jnana karmanoho kartavyatopadeshat.
Evam jnana karmanoho kartavyatvopadeshat.
Kartavyatva. Okay, that also is okay. Kartavyatopadeshat. Samuchitayorapi nishreyasa hetutvam syat.
Samuchitayorapi nishreyasa hetutvam syat.
Iti bhavet samshayaha.
Iti bhavet samshayaha.
Okay. So, kutas sandehaha. So, the gentleman is saying, why, where is the need for doubting? Because, not Shankaracharya, we can say that the other gentleman is saying, what is this? Where kutas sandeha, where is the need for samshaya or doubt? Because there are some shrutis, there are some lines which say, you jnatva amritamashrute, do jnanam only. Then another shruti which says karma has to be done, etc., etc. You do both. Where is the question of doubt? So that is what he says. So, kutas sandeha, yad jnatva amritamashrute. In the same adhyaya we have seen, yad jnatva amritamashrute, by knowing which you attain this amrutam, that immortality. That immortality means that realization. Then tato, that is, what is that immortality? That is going beyond death. That is what is immortality. Realizing that there is no death for Atman. So that is what immortality. Then tatomam tatvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. Just recently we have read 18-55, very recently. Vishate tadanantaram. Knowing and entering. So there was a discussion also on that. Knowing and then entering. Vishate tadanantaram. So, mam tatvato jnatva, by realizing me in its reality, by realizing Brahman in its reality, he becomes that Brahman. By knowing Brahman, he becomes Brahman. So that is what it is. Ityadini vakyani kevalat jnanad nishreyasa praptyam darshayanti. So they demonstrate that by means of knowledge alone, nishreyasa prapti, one attains moksha. Then karmanyevadhikaraste. Mahaphaleshu kadachana we have seen. Karmanyevadhikaraste, you have to do well, do karmas well. Then kuru karmaiva tasmatvam. This is again fourth adhyaya. Therefore you perform karma. Ityevamadini karmanam avashya kartavyatam. They show that karma has to be invariably followed. Karma path has to be invariably followed. Karma anusthana is compulsory. Karma has to be compulsorily done. So that is what they say. Evam, in this manner, jnana karmanoho kartavyatopadeshat, because both have been told, jnana karmanoho, of both jnana and karma, kartavyatopadeshat, because it has been told, kartavyata means that they have to be done. Kartavyata, the thing, it has something which has to be done. So that has been told, padeshat. Because of that, samuchitayorapi, even when they are combined, samuchaya means combination. Even when there is a combination of this jnana and karma, by this combination, nishreyasa hetutvam syat. So one will attain that nishreyasa. Nishreyasa hetutvam syat means this combination will become the cause for nishreyasa. Nishreyasa hetu. Hetu means cause, isn't it? So this combination of this jnana and karma will become the hetu or cause for nishreyasa or realization. So that is what, that sort of doubt can be there. So kim punaratra mimamsa phalam. Then now Shankaracharya is now debating. Kim punaha atra mimamsa phalam. What is the basic purpose? What is the purpose or what is the use of this mimamsa? What is the purpose of mimamsa means? This sort of deliberation, this intellectual discussion. Mimamsa is mantum ichha mimamsa. Mantum ichha mimamsa. Pujita vicharaha mimamsa. There is another definition for mimamsa. That is an exalted debate on a particular issue. It is called mimamsa. So what is the ultimate objective of this exalted debate? Nanu etadeva yesham anyatamasya parama nishreyasa sadhanatva avadharanam. Okay. So this is nanu etadeva. This is the phalam. What is that? Yesham anyatamasya, of these three alternatives, you have to choose one. Yesham anyatamasya, of these three alternatives. What are that? Karma, jnana, or combination of karma and jnana. Of these three alternatives, you have to choose one. Anyatamasya parama nishreyasa sadhanatva avadharanam. Avadharanam means decisively knowing, a determination, decisively knowing as to what exactly is the parama nishreyasa sadhanam. which is the supreme Nishreyasa Sadhanam. Jnana, see, karma also may help to some extent. Help in the sense, it only causes Chitta Shuddhi. Then karma is in a totally different mode, that is in the mode of duality. So Chitta Shuddhi is there, but it is in the mode of duality. So what is the ultimate, what is the important, most important sadhana, or what is the most important means for jnana, which that has to be decisively and without doubt it has to be known. Then ato vistirnataram mimamsyam etat.
Ato vistirnataram mimamsyam etat.
So this particular issue has to be deliberated very thoroughly. Vistirnataram means in detail. Vistirnataram means in detail. Mimamsyam means this has to be deliberated upon. So this particular subject is something which has to be deliberated, which has to be very thoroughly discussed. Then Atmajnanasya tu kevalasya nishreyasa hetutvam
Atmajnanasya tu kevalasya nishreyasa hetutvam
Bheda pratyaya nivartakatvena kaivalya phalavasanatvat.
Bheda pratyaya nivartakatvena kaivalya phalavasanatvat.
Kaivalya phala avasanatvat. Kaivalya phala avasanatvat. So this is a sort of Sangraha Vakyam. This is the Siddhanta. This is the Siddhanta of Shankaracharya. We know that Siddhanta, first he tells the small Sangraha Vakya and then keeps on elaborating. So this Sangraha Vakya says, Atmajnanasya tu kevalasya nishreyasa hetutvam. This Atmajnana alone is the cause for nishreyasa. Instead of saying like that, they say in Shashti Vibhakti, Atmajnanasya Atmajnanam nishreyasa hetuhu is the Vakyam. So instead of saying like that, Shastra Paribhasha, they say Atmajnanasya nishreyasa hetutvam, they say. They put it in Shashti Vibhakti. So this Atmajnana alone, Atmajnana only, kevalasya, kevalam Atmajnanam nishreyasa hetuhu. That is the hetu or cause for nishreyasa. Why? Bheda pratyaya nivartakatvena kaivalya phalavasanatvat. Because that is going to remove this Bheda pratyaya. Bheda pratyaya means Bheda buddhi. That is this vision of duality. So once you go through that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana and do all that Nididhyasana, and once that Paripaka level you reach that Paripaka, once you become mature in that Nididhyasana, then gradually this Bheda Buddhi disappears. So that is Bheda Pratyaya, that is Bheda Buddhi, Bheda, that is Bheda understanding. That sort of vision of duality is rejected. Nivartakatvena means that notion of duality is rejected. So by that, Kaivalya phalavasanatvat, it culminates in Kaivalya phalam. It ends in Kaivalya phalam. Avasana means that is the culmination. Culmination of this Kaivalya phalam. Kaivalyam or moksham is the phalam, that is the fruit you get because of the rejection of this notion of duality. So long as we are in the mode of duality, that Kaivalyam is not there. It is only when this notion of duality is rejected that one attains that moksha. Then Kriyakaraka phala bheda buddhi avidya buddhihi avidyaya atmani nitya pravutta mama karma aham karta amushmai phalaya idam karma karishyami iti phalaya idam karma karishyami iti yam avidya anadikala pravutta. So this avidya is something which is there, anadikala pravutta. We have seen avidya is also something which is also eternal. Avidya is something anadi, but santam. Anadi is something, normally anadi has to be infinite also. But in the case of avidya, avidya is anadi, but it is santam. Santam means it comes to an end. Avidya is anadi means beginningless, but it has an end. When one realizes that Atma Jnana, then that avidya comes to an end. So this avidya is anadikala pravutta. Then what are its effects? Kriya, karaka, phala, bheda buddhihi. So the one who has this bheda buddhi, this notion of duality, like what? This is the kriya, this is the thing which we have to do. I have this particular karma I have to do. Karaka, various factors of this kriya. Various factors in an action. That is, if I want to do something, I need some instrument, I need some sadhana. By this I am going to do. So kartra karaka, karana karaka, etc. We have seen this karma, say all these karakas we have seen. So in this manner I will do, through him I will do, with this help I will do, and all these things, these are all the various karakas. So kriya, karaka, phala, this is the result which I am going to get. So this sort of bheda buddhi, they avidyaya atmani nitya pravutta. And then you have superimposed all this thing in this on this atma eternally. This sort of bheda buddhi has been superimposed on one's own atma. Whereas the atma itself is something which is beyond this bheda buddhi. Atma is of the nature of pure consciousness. It is just illumining this antahkarana. So, but we are attributing all this bheda buddhi on this antahkarana, on this atma. Iti nitya pravutta. How, in what manner? Mama karma, aham karta. This is my goal. I have to do this. Aham karta. I am doing it. Amushmai phalaya idam karma karishyami. For this particular work, for this particular result, I am doing this karma. Itiyam avidya anadikala. This sort of avidya. Itiyam avidya means this sort of avidya. Itiyam avidya. This sort of avidya. Anadikala pravutta. It is there eternally for a long, long time. Then asya avidyayaha nivartakam.
Asyaha avidyayaha nivartakam.
Ayam aham asmi kevalaha akarta akriyaha apalaha.
Ayam aham asmi kevalaha akarta akriyaha apalaha.
Na mattaha anyaha asti kaschid.
Na mattaha anyaha asti kaschid.
Ityevam rupam atma vishayam jnanam utpadyamanam.
Ityevam rupam atma vishayam jnanam utpadyamanam.
Karma pravrutti hetu bhutayaha bheda buddheha nivartakatvat.
Karma pravrutti hetu bhutayaha bheda buddheha nivartakatvat.
Okay. So asyaha vidyayaha nivartakam. What is the tool for rejecting this avidya? Nivartakam means that which rejects. That means that is the tool which rejects. What is the tool which rejects this sort of avidya? The tool is this sort of buddhi. What type of buddhi? I am aham asmi. Yeah, I am this. I am aham asmi. Here I am this. What is that? Kevalaha. I am that kevala nirguna. I am that one entity. Kevala means the only one entity, which is that supreme being, supreme consciousness. I am that kevala. Akarta, akriyaha, apalaha. I am not the doer. Then akarta, akriyaha. There is no kriya for me. And there is no phala. That is, when one identifies oneself with this infinite, in that infinite or in that infinity there is no kriya. In that infinity there is no kriya. When you are only parichinna only, then there is a kriya. When you are infinity, there is no kriya, there is no karma, there is no phalam. So isn't it? Yes. So I am that one, akarta, akriya, phalaha. Na mattaha anyaha asti. Apart from me, there is nothing else. When you are identifying with that supreme being, apart from that supreme consciousness, there is nothing else. So, na matahanya asti kaschid, ityevam rupam atma vishayam jnanam utpadyamanam. So, this sort of jnanam, once it arises in the mind, is it clear? All this, is it clear? This sort of jnanam, once it is arising in one's mind, or one attains this sort of realization, karma pravrutti hetu bhutayaha bheda buddheha nivartakatvat. This sort of realization alone, it rejects that bheda buddhi, which again is the cause for karma pravrutti hetu. Karma pravrutti hetu bhutayaha vidyayaha bheda buddheha. This bheda buddhi which is causing this karma pravrutti, it is because of this notion of duality that one is entering into the bheda, one is getting engaged in various types of activities. I engage in various types of activities because of my notion of duality only. I am this, I have to achieve something else, I have to do this, I have to achieve this objective. So I am distinguishing myself, I am making myself parichinna, I am making myself delimited. So that is why I want to acquire more and more, I want to do this or that. Isn't it? So that bheda buddhi is karma pravrutti hetu bhuta. Karma pravrutti hetu bhuta bheda buddhi. Tasyaha nivartakam. That is one that which rejects, that which dispels, that sort of bheda buddhi is this jnanam. Atma jnanam. Aham kevalaha. Aham akriyaha. So this sort of jnanam is the dispeller of this bheda buddhi. Then tu shabdaha pakshadvaya vyavrutyarthaha
पक्षद्वय व्यावृत्यर्थः
न केवलेभ्यः कर्मभ्यः
न केवलेभ्यः कर्मभ्यः
न च ज्ञानकर्मभ्यां समुचिताभ्यां
न च
ज्ञानकर्मभ्यां समुचिताभ्यां
न च ज्ञानकर्मभ्यां समुचिताभ्यां
निःश्रेयसप्राप्तिरिति पक्षद्वयं निवर्तयति.
निःश्रेयसप्राप्तिरिति पक्षद्वयं निवर्तयति.
Tu shabdah, this mention of tu, where is this mention of tu? You get back to that Siddhanta Vakya, Sangraha Vakya. In that Sangraha Vakya he has said Atma Jnanasya tu kevalasya. So that tu is used in the sense of only, kevala, in the sense of only. So Atma Jnanasya tu kevalasya, only Atma Jnana, in that sense it has been used. So here what he says, tu shabdah pakshadvaya vyavrutyarthaha. So we have seen three pakshas, that is three types of arguments. One is karma is going to give jnanam. One is karma and jnana combination is going to lead to jnanam. Then the other is only pure jnana path will lead to moksha. Jnana lead to jnanam, not that. Jnana leads to moksha, not jnana leading to jnanam. So karma leading to moksha, karma and jnana leading to moksha, jnanam alone leading to moksha. So in those three say schools, in those three sort of approaches, two approaches have been rejected. What are they? Karma alone is the cause for moksha is rejected. Jnana karma samuchaya also is rejected. So that is the meaning here. Tu shabdah pakshadvaya vyavrutyarthaha. Vyavrutti means eliminate. To eliminate this pakshadvaya, these two alternatives, there are three alternatives there. So out of three alternatives, two alternatives are rejected. Pakshadvaya vyavrutyarthaha. In what he is explaining, na kevalebhyah karmabhyah na cha jnana karmabhyam samuchitabhyam. So kevalebhyah karmabhyah mokshaha. So that is rejected. That is, moksha is the result of kevala karma. That is being rejected. Then na jnana karmabhyam samuchitabhyam. By this combination of this jnana and karma, so that also is rejected. Samuchitabhyam nishreyasa praptihi iti pakshadvayam nivartayati. So with by these two say approaches, nishreyasa prapti. So nishreyasa prapti means attaining that moksha. The contention that moksha can be attained, I will wholly summarize. The contention that moksha can be attained either by this karma or by a combination of this karma and jnana, both these are getting rejected. Both are being rejected here. Samuchitabhyam nishreyasa prapriti pakshadvayam nivartayati. Nivartayati means it rejects. It rejects is better. Then akaryatvacha nishreyasasya.
Akaryatvacha
nishreyasasya karma sadhanatva anupapattihi. So this karma sadhanatvam means it is achievable by karma. Nishreyasa is something which is not achievable by karma. So that is the meaning here. Akaryatvacha nishreyasasya. Nishreyasam or moksham is something, it is not a karyam. We have seen that moksham is akaryam, means moksham is not a karyam. Karyam means something which you do, which you produce by some effort. We have seen in Bhashyam also, moksham is something, it is neither utpadyam nor what is that? Samskaryam, vikaryam, vinashyam. It cannot be produced, it cannot be modified, it cannot be changed in any other manner, and it cannot be destroyed. So that is what is moksha. Utpadyam, there are a few words there. Utpadyam, apyam, samskaryam, etc. etc. Moksham is not one such. It is not a karya, means it is not produced by any action. Akaryatvacha nishreyasasya karma sadhanatva anupapattihi. That is, it is not something which is achievable by karma. Karma sadhanatva anupapattihi means it is not something which is achievable by karma. Then nahi nityam vastu karmana jnanena va kriyate. So this moksha is a nitya vastu. Moksha is something which is eternal. It is always there. We have only not realized. Everybody is a mukta, only the problem is he has not realized. So that is the problem. So, nahi nityam vastu karmana jnanena va kriyate. It is not something which is newly produced. Even jnana is not producing. Jnana is only unveiling. Jnana is only revealing that, that curtain called darkness. Jnanam is only removing that curtain called darkness. That curtain, that ajnana is being removed. It is not newly producing anything. So here then the Purvapaksha says, Kevala jnanam api anarthakam tarhi.
Kevala jnanam api anarthakam tarhi.
So he says, then jnanam also is of no use, because you say that by jnanam it is not produced. You see, the earlier line said, Nahi nityam vastu karmana jnanena va kriyate. Did you see that line?
Yes, sir.
Nityam vastu karmana jnanena va kriyate. It is not done by, it is not produced by jnanam. When you say that it is not produced by jnanam, then jnanam also is useless, he says. So Shankaracharya is explaining now that it is not produced by jnanam, it is revealed by jnanam. So that is what we have to see. It is not something which is produced, because only produce means you are producing something which was not there earlier. Here it is always there. Moksha is a nitya vastu. It is always there. You are only removing that veil called ignorance. So it is what he is going to say. Na avidya nivartakatve sati
avidya nivartakatve sati
drushta kaivalya phalavasanatvat.
Drushta kaivalya phalavasanatvat.
So avidya nivartakatve sati. Once you remove this avidya, once you remove this ignorance, then the drushta kaivalya phalavasanatvat. This kaivalya phalam is something that you are achieving, that the removal of ajnana is culminating in achieving that realization. Removal of ajnana is leading you to realization. That is something which is drushta phalam. It is seen. It is not something which is unseen. In the case of a jnani, it is seen. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Avidya nivartakatve sati drushta kaivalya phalavasanatvat. This kaivalya phalavasanatvam, or the fact that removal of this ajnana is leading to this, or it is culminating in kaivalyam, is something which is seen, drushta phalam, avasanatvat. Then avidya tamo nivartakasya jnanasya drushtam kaivalya phalavasanatvam. The same thing in a slightly different terms. It says avidya tamo nivartakasya jnanasya. So this jnanam is something, if I remove all these shashti vibhaktis, we can simplify this line. I will simplify this line, you watch that line. Avidya tamo nivartakam jnanam. You see?
Yeah.
Avidya tamo nivartakam jnanam. Avidya is something like a tamas, which is darkness. The nivartakam is remover of that. He is that jnanam. So of that we are now putting in shashti vibhakti. Avidya nivartakasya jnanasya drushtam kaivalya phalavasanatvam. That is, kaivalya phalam is avasanam. That is the culmination. Once you remove this ajnana, it is leading you to that kaivalya phalam, which is moksha phalam. So the shashti vibhakti is one shastra. In shastra paribhasha, all these statements are put in shashti vibhakti. So if you remove that shashti vibhakti, it is like this only. Avidya tamo nivartakam jnanam kaivalya phalavasanam. Tadeva kaivalya phalavasanam. You can say, simplify and say, Tadeva kaivalya phalavasanam. You can say. Instead of saying like that, they say, kaivalya phalavasanatvam. Okay. Rajva is the line understood?
Yeah.
Rajvadi vishaye sarpad yajnana tamo nivartakam nivartaka sarpad yajnana tamo nivartaka Pradeepa Prakasha Phalavat. So we are coming to our standard example of Rajju Sarpa. Rajuvadi, it can be Rajju or some other thing. It can be Rajju Sarpa Bhranti or some other Shukti Rajata Bhranti, whatever it is. Rajvadi Vishaye, Sarpadi, Sarpa or Rajata, Adi, Ajnana, Tamo Nivartaka, Ajnana Tama Nivartaka, that is that which dispels that Ajnana, that which drives away that Ajnana. What is that? Pradeepa Prakasha Phalavat. In the case of a semi-dark condition, you see some rope and think that it is a serpent. You think it is a snake. But there, what is needed is not some karma. You need not do some puja there, and you need not do some upasana. There in that Vichara Sagaram, there is that writer writes in a beautiful way. Suppose you see some say in semi-dark condition, you see something and then you think it is a snake, and then you get terrified and then you start doing some bhajans, you start doing some sacrifice to satisfy that god or goddess, and then you also start doing some upasana. All these are not needed. Some old woman brings some lamp and shows where it is some rope only. So he gives an example like that. So what all is needed here is to bring some lamp and throw some light on that. Apart from that, nothing, no karma is needed. So that particular thing you have to remember. That old woman bringing the lamp and showing it, that we have to remember. So here, Rajvadi Vishaye, Sarpadi Ajnana Tamo Nivartaka. So all this tamas is Nivartakam rejected by Pradipa Prakasha Phalavat. So this Pradipa Prakasha, this lamp is dispelling, and that is the phalam, Pradipa Prakasha Phalavat. This light of this lamp is dispelling the darkness, and that itself is the phalam. Then Vinivurta Sarpadi Vikalpa Rajju Kaivalyaavasanam hi Prakasha Phalam Tatha Jnanam. So this Sarpadi Vikalpa, all types of Vikalpas, whether it is a Sarpa or whether it is something else, or all these Vikalpas, they are all driven away. Vinivruta, they are all rejected, they are all driven away. Sarpadi Vikalpa, Rajju Kaivalyaavasanam. Rajju alone stays there. Rajju alone, Rajju Kaivalya. Rajju alone stays there. Similarly, once your Ajnana has gone, say it is the Brahman which stays. It is the Brahma. You remain in the shape of Brahma only and nothing else. There is no further Bheda Buddhi. There is no further Adhyasa. There is no further superimposition. Sarpadi Vishaya Vikalpa Rajju Kaivalyaavasanam hi Prakasha Phalam. Prakasha Phalam is the result of throwing light on that. The result of throwing light on that is say comparable to that is the example or analogy given in order to understand this Jnanam. Jnanam is going to dispel avidya and make you Brahman, just as a lamp dispels ignorance relating to that sarpa. So that's all. Tatha Jnanam. Then Drushtarthanam cha Chidikriya Agni Manthanadinam Chidikriya Agni Manthanadinam Vyapruta Kartradi Karananam Karakanam Dvaidhi Bhava Agni Darshanadi Phalat Anya Phale Karmantareva Vyaparanupapatiri Yatha Yatha Tatha Jnananishta Kriyayam Drushtarthayam Vyaprutasya Jnatradi Karakasya Atma Kaivalya Phalat Anya Phale Karmantare Pravrittihi Anupapanna iti Na Jnananishta Karma Sahita Upapadyate. So the last portion of the line you please see. Na Jnananishta Karma Sahita Upapadyate. This is the overall meaning of that sentence. Jnananishta Na Karma Sahita Upapadyate. That is, this Jnanam is something, it cannot go alongside with karma. That is Jnana-nishtha, that is staying in that say path of Jnana, abiding in that path of Jnana, karma sahita na upapadyate. It cannot go along with this karma. This is the overall meaning. For that he is giving an example. This sentence is a very, very long sentence. You have to break it at appropriate places, otherwise it is confusing. There is nothing much in this. You see, somebody wants to break a say wood. So you take an axe and then you break it. And once you break it, then it is done. So then no further purpose is there for that. Then similarly, Agni Manthana. Agni Manthana means, first thing I said is Chidikriya. Chidi means Chedana. Chedana Kriya. Chedana means you have to break a wood. Then Agni Manthana. You have to, in olden days we did not have matchsticks and whatnot. So there was two types of stones were taken, and one rubbed against the other, and then fire was produced. Agni Manthanam, it was called Manthanam. Particularly for rituals, for yajnas, even today, that is the way it is done. Agni Manthanam is not supposed to be done by kerosene or something like that. It has to be done only in that process. Only in that process that some Uttararani, Adhararani, etc. They have to be rubbed against one another, and Agni has to be produced. That is Agni Manthanam. So this Agni Manthanadinam, so in such karmas, once that wood is broken, log is broken, or once that Agni is produced, there is no further purpose. There is no further purpose. So similarly, Jnana Nishtayam, once that Ajnana is dispelled, there is no karmantara pravrutti. Once that Ajnana is dispelled, there is no question of any other associated activity. There is no associated activity for that once Ajnana is removed. So Jnanam cannot go there. It does not need any other assistant. Jnana does not need any other sahakari karanam or some other assistance along with it. So that is the meaning. I will read this line again. Drushtarthanam cha. Drushtartham means that the purpose of which can be seen, the fruit of which can be seen. Drushta artha. Artha means prayojana. Drushta prayojana. That is, you take an axe and then you break one piece of wood. So that is something where your purpose is very clear and you are seeing the result. That is drushtartha. And the example given is chidikriya, breaking a wood. Then agni mathanadinam, agni manthanam. That is by producing fire by this rubbing, manthanam. Adinam, vyapruta kartradi karakanam. In that there are this karta, etc. They are all engaged in that. Kartradi karakanam means this Karta and others, they are engaged in that activity. All these Karta and others, they are engaged in that activity. Dvaidhi bhava agnidarsanadi phalat anyapale karmantareva. So your activity is limited only to that. What is that? Dvaidhi bhava. Dvaidhi bhava means to splitting it, breaking into two. Dvaidhi bhava is to break it into two. Then Agni darshanadi phala. Agni darshanam, you produce that fire, so that is the phalam. So once it is broken into two, the phalam is achieved. Once that Agni is produced, the phalam is achieved. And beyond that, anyapale karmantareva vyapara anupapattihi. So after that, there is no further vyapara, there is no further activity. There is no further activity for the person, karta, karaka, etc., etc. They have a limited purpose of breaking that wood, they have a limited purpose of producing that fire, and once that is done, then your activity ceases, isn't it? Once that is done, your activity ceases, and you don't get engaged in any other activity. So likewise, tatha means likewise, jnana nishtha kriyayam, in that jnana nishtha kriya also. Jnana nishtha is also a kriya here. Jnana nishtha is a kriya in the sense that atma anusandhanam, continuous atma anusandhanam one has to do. In that kriya, there again drushtarthayam vyaprutasya, for the one who is engaged in that jnana nishtha, for the one who is engaged in that jnana nishtha is again drushtartha, that is the purpose of it, the fruit of it can be seen. Then Gnatradi karakasya atma kaivalya phalad anya phale pravrittihi anupapanna. This is there. What is the phalam here? Atma kaivalya phalam. Atma kaivalya phalam is the result here. For a person who is, for a person who is having an axe and trying to break a wood, breaking the wood is the phalam. For one who is doing this Agni Mantanam, producing Agni is the result. And for the one who is in Jnana Nishtha, achieving that kaivalyam is the phalam. And once you achieve that, there is no other activity. Karmantare, anyapale karmantare pravrittihi anupapanna. So karmantare pravritti anupapanna means you are not, there is no pravritti in any other activity. Once you achieve that, there is no need for any other associate, helping hand or anything like that. So this sentence is complicated, the meaning is simple only. You read it maybe in English translation again. The meaning is this only. Once you break it, there is no further purpose and there is no further activity. Once you produce fire, there is no further activity. Tatha similarly, jnana-nishtha kriyayam vyaprutasya, for the one who is engaged in this jnana-nishtha kriya, Jnatradi karakasya, for all these things like jnata, gneyam, etc., etc., all these karaka are there for all these things. Karma, you see, vyaprutasya, where is this? Vyaprutasya, yeah. Karakasya, Atma Kaivalya Phalad Anya Phale. Atma Kaivalya Phalam is achieved. Once that is achieved, Anya Phale Karmantareva Pravruti Hanupapanna. You are not bothered about any other Karmantara. So that is it. It's a very simple thing. Pravruti Hanupapanna iti na jnananistha karma sahita upapadyate. So there is no other activity along with this jnananistha. There is no particular karma which is associated with this jnananistha. So the sentence is long, slightly complicated. I think we will continue. Today we could not read much because of these complicated sentences. There are some complicated sentences like this in future also. Should we continue or the time is over? We will continue in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti